You were actually drafted by the Sixers, right?
Yeah, yep.
Drafted by the Sixers and traded to the Suns. For a moment there, you thought you were going to Philly. What were the emotions like when you thought you were going to Philly?
Oh, they were crazy. I was about to tear up just because how crazy it was. I'm like, I'm really about to be home. My mom works for the Sixers. I'm like, I've been talking about this all year. Like that was the biggest thing all my senior year in college was like, Philly got the 10th pick. They'll be dumb if they don't get Mikal, hometown kid. They need a 3-and-D guy. Like it was set up. Like it was just set up for me to go.
Welcome to the CJ McCollum Show. I'm being joined, as always, by Izzy Gutierrez. We have a very special guest who hails from Philly. He goes by the name of Mikal Bridges. First and foremost, how you doing, Mikal?
I'm good, man. How you doing, CJ?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you joining the podcast. Normally, I read off all the statistics of the podcast guests, so I'll do that first, and then we'll get into the questions. But NBA All-Defensive First Team in 2022, two-time NCAA champion 2016, 2018, third-team All-American AP, Sports Nation, NABC, all of those things. Big East Co-Defensive Player of the Year, Big East Tournament MVP, Julius Erving Award in 2018, first-team All-Big East 2018. You were selected with the 10th overall pick in the 18 draft by the Phoenix Suns, and you played in the 2020 finals. Your nickname is the Warden, according to Google search.
Can I ask you a question about that, Mikal? And thanks for joining us here. So two quick things. I've been one to tell people that they I've either pronouncing their name wrong or have spelled their name wrong. So I'm curious, growing up with your name, like what was pronounced and what is the proper pronunciation? Like, did people just try to say Michael all the time?
Yeah, no, there's a lot. Like I've heard so many different names. Like substitute teachers was like the worst. Like like I'm Bridges, so it's pronounced Mikal. Like the I's like kind of like an A, so it's like Mikal. But substitute teacher Bridges is if you're in homeroom and stuff, if you've been there for a while, like you're after this person and stuff. So I see like the teacher like reading names. And I'm probably like the third or fourth person, and like they just stare at the paper and like just keep staring. And sometimes I just raise my hand. I just be like, Mikal. Like don't even waste your time. I hear like Mikael. Just like Michael. Michael was heavy. Michael was the biggest the whole time, but people used to struggle so bad. It was pronounced Mikal.
I heard so many versions of Israel Gutierrez, I can't even tell you. But as the protector of all the things Miami, the Warden, there was a gentleman by the name of Joel Anthony down here in Miami. He had another nickname. I think it was like Frying Pan Hands. But the Warden was Joel Anthony's nickname down here. And I'm just wondering who gave you that? And did anybody say, hey, that guy down in Miami who played a few years back might already have that nickname?
It really came from the Suns fan base. I think it's just because of my defense, and they always be like Mikal Jail. I think it was kind of big during like right before the bubble and going into the bubble. So they was heavy on the Mikal Jail and all these memes and stuff. So they just called me the Warden. Honestly, like I was just like if I had to pick a nickname, I think I would have called myself the Warden. But I let the fans pick that. And it's just if they like it, it's cool. It's hilarious though. It's all right though.
All right. On behalf of Joel Anthony, we'll allow it. So,
yeah, I guess
a few years late.
West Coast. That was the West Coast.
I left out one very important statistic that's been controversial throughout the NBA for quite some time now. You have the record for active players for most consecutive games played and having not missed a game in your entire career, probably dating back to high school, I imagine. You probably haven't missed a game.
Yeah, to junior high school.
And you're on pace to play 83 games this year, which ironically would be the amount of games two teams have to play next year if they win the in-season tournament championship. So I think my first question is, how have you been able to play every game throughout your career? Is it the rehab process that you go through? Is it the sleep? Is it the water? Is it not practicing as much? Like what's the key to your success?
Man, I don't know. I think I just been blessed just with no crazy injuries. That's like to start off. Other than that, I think just recovery, just take care of my body. I think I'm big on that. Just like even like today, like an off day, I could easily just sit around and just chill. But like just going in and get like hour and a half treatment or something is just like it's our job. Like why not go get treatment and help yourself and be better for yourself? So that plays a big part. And then just how my body is, it's just it recovers faster than normal, or just everybody's body's a little different. Like I could roll the hell out my ankle and it'd be like swell up a little bit, and then like the next day, like if I ice it all night, like it'll just go down fast. And most people, no matter what they do, like even they ice it, they wake up next morning, it might have got even fatter. So
Right.
it's my body's it's just weird, and I guess it just kind of gets through injuries faster than normal.
You say it casually, but it sounds like you're a superhero. When you say that, what's the worst injury that you've had that you've just kind of like shrugged off and played through?
I think the toughest one, I didn't even tell Sam or anybody about it, CJ. I mean, until later. It was my rookie year, and I grade 2 sprained my right elbow, so my shooting arm, and literally I couldn't, like if the rim was right in front of me, like I couldn't do this. Like I couldn't do none of this because it's just all right here. It's on my shooting arm. So I remember
do your shooting motion for those in the podcast audience.
And the rim is right here. Like it's not like I'm shooting threes or free throws. Like I'm right here, like right under the rim. I'm like, bro, I can barely get the ball right here. So I went back. It was in Sacramento actually at the time. And I remember I went back in a training office, and I was like, listen, like I need to get taped up. So he taped me up from like my forearm to all the way up here. And it was like a robe arm. Like I could barely bend my arm. So I just put an arm sleeve over it. And I was just playing in the game with it. I was like, listen, and at that time, Book was shooting 40 shots and we were losing. So like I had a lot of games where I shot the ball maybe like 3 times. But like actually that game, I shot the ball like a good amount. I think adrenaline just kind of I was just playing. I just kind of tried to forget about it.
So nobody noticed it?
I was really out there for defense. I was out there for defense. And just if I got some looks, I just pray that just the ball will go in.
I don't recommend people playing through those types of injuries, but the competitive spirit always kicks in. I've had some games where I've played and or either delayed surgery or just played and wasn't able to shoot threes or wasn't able to do certain stuff. But the guy guarding you doesn't really know until you start turning down shots, and they looking like, why isn't he shooting this? It's like, I really just can't. Like,
and then they start giving you the Caitlin Clark. It's like, he's not shooting it.
Yeah, it's just pretty funny. We discussed you being drafted to the Phoenix Suns. I'd be remiss if I didn't, talk about your time in Phoenix. Obviously, you developed, you got known for obviously playing defense at a high level. You continued to hone in on your offensive game, starting with the midi, then the corner threes, then adding the pick and roll, adding the 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull up. What type of impact did Monty and the Phoenix Suns have on your career development while you were there? And what's one of the things you missed most about playing with the Phoenix Suns before we get into Brooklyn?
Yeah, man, Monty and all the coaching staff, they're big time. They helped me where I'm at right now. And I mean, CJ, just a little progression, like you just said, like to the corner threes and then to just get into the mid range, just like little parts I keep adding. And that's basically just off my coaches is giving me confidence. Like obviously you have C and Book who shoot a lot of middies. So you're thinking like a guy like me who do corner threes, the world isn't satisfied with mid-range shots, you know what I'm saying? And for Monty to give me the confidence to go out there and just get to that spot. And once I was start making them a little bit, he was just letting me be free. It's just like he wanted me to be aggressive and wanted me to get to things I like. So it started with getting to the mid-range. And then after that, it just continued to grow. And, we got to the playoffs. And how people guard C and Book. So it was just like we need another scorer, we need another person that can handle it. So that was like my biggest thing going to the offseason each year, just getting prepared for that. And really this year, obviously I got traded and stuff. We didn't get to it yet, but like I didn't think I was going to get traded. So all my stuff I was working on was getting ready for the playoffs. So when Book and C do get trapped, like I'll be that next option, and it'll just make us tougher to guard. So just a lot of work. They helped me so much and gave me so much confidence. And the biggest thing I miss about Phoenix is just my teammates and being out there on the court and knowing what everybody's going to be at and what they're going to do. Like, you got synergy and you're so close to everybody. You've been playing so many years with people. Like what they're going to do. Like, I know if I drive and if T. Craig or Josh Okogie's in that corner, I know what they're going to do. Like, if I drive and Book's right there, or even defensively too, like we step up for each other, just strictly off synergy of being together. So that's the thing I miss the most about being with them on the court is just the synergy. And like, it's just second nature. Like, when a guy is going to step up and you're going to help him rotate, like DA. Like, I know if I come off a ball screen and a big switches on me, I don't have to think. I just know that he's probably already sealing his man at the rim. And he knows I'm going to throw it. So I'll just like turn around, just chuck the ball up in the air. And he just go get it and lay the ball up.
You guys were the MIDI committee out in Phoenix. And for those who don't really have the time in their lives to read an entire Zach Lowe column, he wrote 10 things that he likes, and Mikal Bridges' game is one of those. And he sort of breaks it down a little bit with a little bit of detail there. You probably haven't even seen that yet, have you? Because that was this morning that I think that it came out.
Union Pacific Railroad wants you to join its team. It's an opportunity that comes with great pay and benefits. There are a variety of open roles across its 23-state network, including train crew positions, with hiring and relocation incentives of up to $50,000 in some locations. You could even get a free college education while working. Union Pacific Railroad connects hundreds of communities. Hauling goods Americans rely on every day. Get your career on the right track with Union Pacific and apply today at up.jobs/sports. That's up.jobs/sports.
I watched you drop 45 on the Heat, and I think Max Strus still has nightmares about you. When you talk about going from that second, creator to that sort of primary guy in your role now, at times with the Nets, you and Spencer, I guess, how easy of a transition was that? And when you started doing it, was the month of March was 28.8 points. Like, when you're doing this on a regular basis, do you even sort of reassess what you can do, what you can be as an NBA player for the rest of your career?
Yeah. So for your first question, what I always tell people is that I got traded at the right time. We had literally everybody out in Phoenix with C was out for a while. Book was out. Cam Johnson, campaign. We didn't have Jay Crowder. So, we had a lot of people out. And it was just I had to be that. I had to step up, And that was the biggest thing with my coaches and everybody. I had to be that guy, step up. And in the beginning, it was tough. I had a lot of tough games. And, being, no one option, also trying to do everything on defense as well. I start to realize why, the top guys, when he used to guard me and I would be in that, I got all the energy in the world because I'm just sitting in the corner offense, and I see why I get my cuts and stuff because it's tough. I'm being in that situation now, guarding top guy or guarding off ball, you sometimes get that little breather, and then the other guys that's been sitting in the corner has been sitting there the whole game, and they just ready to cut. And I've been back cut a lot of multiple times, and it's been pissing me off low key. But that was a big struggle in the beginning, just doing it the whole game on both ends. And then as time went on, I got better, got a little bit more efficient, was winning some games, being that guy. So it helped me a lot. To now I'm in a situation in Brooklyn where okay, I just had a month having everything on my plate. You know what I'm saying? I just had a whole month doing that. So now we got more pieces and we got a pretty good team. So now it's just okay, now I could do this, but now I got maybe better spacing or got a lot of guys out there. So Phoenix definitely that time I had in Phoenix where everybody was out definitely built me for this moment. And being out there scoring now, I tell people this all the time. I think now, I'm not trying to just get 30. I'm trying to really win. And I feel the biggest chance of us winning is if I'm making shots. You know what I'm saying? As you go to numbers, if I miss every shot I take, there's a high chance of us losing the game. So it's every time I shoot, I'm shooting obviously to score, but I'm looking at the scoreboard like we got to win this damn game. So if it's like, if we're down, like to bring us back, or if we're up, to like push the lead, or like like throughout the whole game, I'm just trying to win the game. So then as you look up, and like I take pride in my work and I take pride in being efficient. So like if you look up, like, shoot, I might have 20 something and it's like the third. It's just because like I'm trying to make every shot I take, and I usually take shots that I work on and I'm confident in it. So I just work on my game, and then I look up, I might have 30 and we win or something like that. So it's different for me. I didn't grow up, I've not been a 30-point guy that just score a lot. Like I've always been a guy that's just like around 25, 26, 24. Like I just could never break 30. And now it's like, I feel like if I don't get 30 or something, it's like I'm like letting us down or something.
That's a good feeling to have. And I think you talked about the development. You talked about timing. I tell people all the time, and players, that things happen for a reason. You just got to be ready when they do. And you were ready. You had got an opportunity to obviously play extended minutes. We played you guys as a whole, and we played you guys with some guys out. And obviously you've been able to transform your game and become more aggressive. You talked about the efficiency. You talked about the midi, having to have more primary ball handling responsibilities, more pick and roll, more sets in front of the defense as opposed to behind the defense, which gives you different looks. But then I think the touches matters. And I think people don't understand, when you touch the ball throughout the entire game, your rhythm becomes better. When people kind of expect you to score, when you get the license to shoot bad shots, that's when you see your efficiency generally go up sometimes because of the confidence. And I think you've done that in Phoenix with your expanded role. I mean, you averaged 17 on this season, the entire season. But if you look at your body of work when guys are out, you were at, probably that 22 to 25 range that you talked about when guys were hurt. Now in Brooklyn, 23 games into the trade, 35 minutes a night, 27 points per game, basically 50, 40, 90. You're at like 49 and some change, 41 and 90 on high volume. That kind of shows the growth. Is this what you thought it would be like in Brooklyn? And secondly, Sam wanted me to call you Brooklyn Bridges.
Honestly, be honest with you, I don't think like this. I bet you if you ask like people on our staff in on Phoenix when I left, they probably like who I work with, like Jared Jack and all my assistant coaches and Corey Benson, like people I work with. I bet you like they're supposed to be like, oh yeah, I saw this coming. He easily like, we work with him all the time. Like I see it. But I didn't think all this, honestly. Like obviously I thought I was going obviously like be scoring 20 a game and more, just all that, but just what I'm on right now and how I'm playing, like it's definitely something I sometimes just look back and just be like, all right, be appreciative of this and like, don't take it for granted. So I definitely didn't see all this coming for sure.
There was a clip of somebody asking you who your favorite player was. This was after the trade, and you kind of come to that realization. It was just like, man, it was Kevin Durant. And I might have sent you, if you probably check your Twitter messages, people you might know, I might have sent you a message saying, I was like, man, I thought just that clip alone, just there's sort of like so much authenticity there. And it just feels like you're always yourself, regardless of the situation. And, when you throw all this in, the growth, right, of and just recognizing what's there for you potentially, like it's almost feel like a really cool feeling. But I'm just wondering, like, that part of it, like just coming to the realization of just how weird a world that this is, that you got traded for your favorite player, I guess growing up, if you will. Have you been able to like think about that even more, sort of wrap your mind around that and just be like, kind of, wow, the world's kind of a crazy place?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I think, and that's why it's so just like, obviously you're going to feel some way getting traded. That's just always how it is, no matter who it's for. But like, you start to realize like, okay, who you get traded for? Like I got traded for KD. So like, I understand, like, even like, I'll be real, like the new owner came in that situation, like I understand why that happens. Like, do I personally think Phoenix would have been okay with me and Cam still there? 100%. But to get a guy like KD, who is one of the best scorers ever, like, how can you not do that? And it's not like he's 38 or 39. Like, he's still Kevin Durant getting 30 a game on 50, 40, 90. and it's insane to watch, insane to see, and it's just wild, like just to look back on it, and just I think when years go on and when I'm done playing, it's going to be something that's just like, if I had kids one day talk about like, yeah, like I really got traded for one of my favorite players ever, like when I was 26 years old, like it was crazy, but no, it's wild, and it's just so funny because being in Brooklyn and Katie being here and me scoring at a high clip and everybody's just like, oh, like we didn't lose Katie, this and that, and I'm just like, pump your brakes. I'm like, calm the hell down. I appreciate the love, but there's only one goddamn Katie in this world. I'll tell you that. It's that 7-foot over there.
You guys are currently 6th in the Eastern Conference. You're, call it 3.5 games out of 5th on the Nets. 2 games up. Two games up on Miami. 2 games up in the loss column as well. As you get closer and closer to the season ending, has it set in yet that you're going to be playing in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference? Flights are going to be a lot easier in the playoffs. You won't have to fly from Phoenix to New Orleans. You'll be going from 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6. You'll be a train ride away from Philly if it ended right now. Or you could probably drive. You could probably drive home in between games if you wanted to.
It's definitely kicking in. I think I'm so locked in right now and just not trying to be in that play-in. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to be in that play-in. You want to get that solidified spot. And it's definitely kicking in. I think the biggest thing is just thinking about like getting to the playoffs and this. I know how the schemes are. Like I just in Phoenix, I just played against you, and I know what the scout was like on you and BI. Like
what was the scout?
There's he had a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension. So that's like a thing I think in the back of my head where like, but I was the defensive guy. So like I know how I'm prepared to guard the best guy every night, especially in the playoffs. So that's something in my back head, just knowing like scouts are going to be just a little bit more super detailed, and things that I probably like to get to, it's going to be a heavy emphasis on. And so just being prepared to, play my game, but also know that there's going to be a little bit more tighter of a scout on me. So that's what I think about. But yes, everything's around the corner. Like you said, Philly right there, Boston right there, Milwaukee's still right there. Like just easy flights, easy drive. Yeah, that damn.
Is there still much of a difference of feel of type of game between the Western and Eastern Conference since you've been in both this season?
I mean, yeah, you see when CP sent me a helmet for my
that's right.
piece. Yeah, it's a little more downhill out here in the East, and that's just been known if you've been in the league. And West Coast, where it's so like Golden State, like go 5 out, you go small. But the East, where they had a lineup when it was Jared Allen and Mobley, and then Marketing at the 3. Like you had 3 7-footers out there, and in West it's like your 5 is going to be freaking 6'8" at times. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely different. But I mean, I like it. I think the defensive scheme is a little bit different over here, and offensively, I kind of like it as well, just how they play, because sometimes they like the red and have bigs up on a guard, and I'm just like, all right, like that's I like that. They have a big guy guard me, and up top is fine. So their scheme's a little different, and I think I like it a little bit more than the West for sure.
Because you're a Philly guy, probably. Do you I'm sorry, go ahead, CJ.
No, I was just going to take it back to draft night. You were actually drafted by the Sixers, right?
Yeah.
Drafted by the Sixers and traded to the Suns. For a moment there, you thought you were going to Philly. What were the emotions like when you thought you were going to Philly?
Oh, they were crazy. I was about to tear up just because how crazy it was. I'm like, I'm really about to be home. My mom works for the Sixers. I'm like, I've been talking about this all year. Like that was the biggest thing all my senior year in college was like, Philly got the 10th pick. They'll be dumb if they don't get Mikal, hometown kid. They need a 3-and-D guy. Like it was set up. Like it was just set up for me to go home. And like the emotions was nuts. I remember being in the media room, and I have my Sixers hat on, and I'm sitting down, and everybody in the Philly media is sitting down. And I kid you not, like I know every person there, like since high school and college. Like I'm sitting there, and people raising their hand, and I'm like pointing at them, like big geek, big smiles, like my guy, like what up, good to see you. You know what I'm saying? And I walk out of there, and they told me the news, and I was literally pissed off. Like actually pissed off. And it took me days after to like be appreciative of the moment. But like, listen, Kel, like all that, like you went top 10, like you got drafted. Like I know you're in a moment, it's human nature to like be upset about not going to a place you wanted to go. And it took me days to realize that. But I was pissed off that night. I didn't go out. I stayed in my hotel room. I was that mad. And for what? Like, what am I pissed off about? Like, I went top 10 in a freaking dream. So it took me days to like really get over that. But it was wild. It was really wild.
Do you have any and I asked this of I forget who it was, maybe it was Grant Williams, but any closer connection to college basketball since you had so much success when you were there? Like, do you still dig in and pay that much close attention to college basketball?
No, like you heard what my boy Darren Fox said, like I can't, like I really just can't. Like the tournament's cool because it's like it's a tournament. It's the whole idea. So no matter how good the players are, whatever, the tournament's always gonna be fun. But like regular season, oh my God, I can't watch it. Like I really can't. Like UConn is in the championship, and I was just at the Villanova UConn game at home, and I went to the game at Wells Fargo, and like he's like I like the kid Hawkins. He's nice, but like the game was stinky. Like I'm sitting there like this game is ass. Like I'm literally sitting there like what? And now UConn's a championship. I'm just like okay, like I know these years. I'm not gonna say my years, but any year in college, like you know, if you see a team that's going about to win a national championship, like you go to that game, you're watching like, oh, these motherfuckers are nice. Right. No, not one time I sat there was like, yo, this team is cold. Like, hell no. Like that is ass. Like that is, I don't know.
I'm kind of glad I didn't watch Jordan Hawkins too much early in the season because watching him now, he looks legit. But I'm with you. Like I watch college basketball, especially during the regular season. And it's just like, man. And it's almost like in the tournament, you can tell the teams that have just sort of turned it up a little bit and they just a little bit better. But it's different than when I mean, I wasn't in school, but like 2006 and 2007, like I watched that Gators team at the first two rounds and I was like, man, they're the best team here. And they got at least two pros on that team. I don't see that as much anymore. Maybe, I mean, UConn with Sonogo and Hawkins, but it takes a while, it feels like.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like as you see, there's no one seeds that made it to I don't know what it was, freaking Elite Eight, Final Four, whatever. That's not happening. Like that's not happening other years because those teams are nice and dominant. But hey, that's great. It's great for college. You know, this balance where there's no one seeds and all these other teams are making it. So it's great for college basketball, I guess. But now,
speaking of balance, for the women's side, then you guys see the Angel Reese celebration. What do you guys think about that?
That tournament is better than the men's for sure. The women's,
agreed.
Like I'm out. Like that's for sure. Like I'm sick. I missed LSU Iowa game. I had a game. I'm sick that I missed it. Like
I watched the entire game.
You watched the entire game?
I watched Sue and Diana's show. I was going back and forth because they're hilarious. You know, they got their little drinks. They got their little drinks and they get interviewing guys. CP came on right before y'all game, right before the Suns and OKC game. He came on and they was asking him about Katie getting hurt in warm-ups. Like they just wild and like funny. And they breaking down the game. But just to see the pace, like the pace of Iowa and LSU, the intensity they play with, like it was just a fun game to watch. And obviously Caitlin is just shooting from deep out. You know, Reese is playing with that flair, that swag, that confidence. They got a bunch of girls that can go. They got a girl coming off the bench goes 5 for 5 in the first half, and she ain't scored in 2 games. Like, it's just a really cool night. And then you got, LSU coach just swagged out on the sideline. She dressed like it's Mardi Gras with the country accent. So it was just really cool to see the competitive nature, but also like to see the world support women's basketball. Like, so many people watched that game. The price of tickets, was through the roof. Game sold out, and it's just like what we need in society is the support, women's sports as well, and to be able to see so many athletes competing at a high level and really showing that flair and that swagger that you want to see in sports. I think it was really cool to see.
So then, I know this isn't until Thursday that this comes out, and so people will be talking about it since then. But let's discuss that from your guys' perspective, because I feel like double standard in terms of how we talk about the men's game versus the women's game. But when all right, so in the men's game or in the NBA, we see people most recently Russell Westbrook get guarded 10 feet off by Draymond Green. When Caitlin Clark does that to a South Carolina player, but adds the wave off that don't worry about her, is that too much? Is that okay? Like, what do you guys think about that?
Too much what?
I don't know. I think it's perfect. I would have added a hell no.
Exactly. So then when Reese sort of sits on that for a while, and just like after the national championship comes back and gives her that, was that like, you think, warranted, or was that just like, again, too much?
No, too much for what? Too much for what?
I'm asking because that seems to be the conversation, right? Like, after you win a championship, to go back and give her that. And I'm just like, well, even if that's not like your genuine feeling, like, oh, I'm this jerk and I'm just going to go talk smack. Like, I think it helps. Like, I think it helps just create a conversation. Like, why not? Like, go. She's been a superstar, and Caitlin Clark's been dominating the headlines. But Reese is out there too. So, go ahead and give me some love, even if I have to, give her back what she gave to somebody else.
For sure. That's just that competitive nature they got. Like, it ain't no hate between that. They're fired up, and, they both talk smack. Caitlin's doing it, in Louisville and all that. Like, and that's what it is. Like, that competitive spirit. Like, you're gonna talk trash throughout games, and that's just going to boost you and all that stuff. And that's what she did, and she was fired up. They won, like I'm saying. Like, think about it as like those girls, like Caitlin Clark is everywhere. Like, she's been going ballistic. So, like, the world's talking about her, and they're young, so they know they're seeing it, and they're like, they want this girl to win it. They won it all. Like, watch what we do. So they win it, and then they talking their cash. I love every second of it.
If somebody beats Steph Curry, CJ, you're gonna give him one of these in the finals or the conference finals, aren't you?
Nah, because you got to win a championship first. So I think it's different. You do that and then lose to the Celtics. It is like all for naught. You know what I'm saying? So I think people that have never won, telling a woman how to win is just crazy. Like, you never won. How are you going to tell her how to celebrate, right? You don't know what she's been through. You don't know what trials and tribulations she's gone through, the injuries, the setbacks, the self-doubt, transfer, and everything that went into her getting to that moment. So you can't tell her how to enjoy it. And I think when you win, you have a right. You have a right to celebrate however you see fit. You have a right to do whatever you want within reason. Once you win. Now, if you lose, then it is what it is. Like, you move on. And I think Caitlin Clark didn't really comment on it because she knows that she plays with a certain type of flair, to where you got to be willing to take, what comes with that. Like, what comes with greatness, right? Like, the way she celebrates and everything like that, people talked about it and they celebrated her. They celebrated her low-key taunting people and all that stuff. And to have it happen back, I think she just thought to herself, like, I can't wait to see these girls again. Probably was she's thinking, like, wait till next season when we run it back, like, get a little bit more help. And I think that's the mentality you got to have, where when you lose, you got to lose with a sense of pride and a sense of self, but also understand that, like, you got to respect your opponent. And when you win, you should respect your opponent too. But I always think that when you win, depending on the age, I mean, it's going to be a little bit more extra, because especially if you ain't never done it before, like, I think she wins another one next year. Like, it'll just be like, yo, that's two. Like, it won't be as much, but that first one, like, it just hits different, man. Like, you ain't never had it before. It really hits different.
For sure.
Is there anything you guys are talking about from the players' perspective that with the new CBA agreement that sort of is cool? Anything that stands out?
I was asking questions about it yesterday. CJ, like, I know you're more locked in than me on it. I was trying to figure it out. Is that like with the like the Supermax thing or something like that.
What you want to know, man?
Yeah. Let's
Well,
hammer it out.
I see Cleveland's getting upset because I guess like Mobley is
No,
up.
Cleveland should be happy.
So okay, I think I got it backwards. So Cleveland is happy that it can sign Mobley
Yeah,
to it.
it used to be two designated, and this isn't before I comment on all these things, I just want to go on the record saying two things, right? Because I've been declining interviews and everything, and I don't want to speak about it until we've actually received a term sheet. So we negotiated a deal in principle, right? And it's just kind of like when you know you're going to get an extension, right? Like you negotiate it in principle in good faith. You sign that, we have an agreement, but the term sheet has not has not been received yet, which means we haven't finalized the entire agreement yet. So everything that's getting leaked is more he say, she say, partial facts, if you will. Everything still has to be formalized and presented to the players. It has to be formalized and presented to the governors for approval. So preface everything I'm saying with that. There have been a lot of leaks in the media and stuff like that, and I can confirm some things and I can deny others. But I think the moral of the story is I'll answer your question first in regards to the designated players. So historically, and this is me paraphrasing a lot, you could have two designated max players that you draft, right, or acquire, right? So think the Sixers had Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Portland, Dame was the max, and then I got like what was considered close to a max. In Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell was a max player. Darius Garland signed a max. So technically, if the CBA wasn't amended, they wouldn't be able to sign Mobley to a max extension or whatever the case may be. And based on what we're doing now, let me make sure I'm saying this right. Twofold. There's two things that we're looking to add. Players extending their rookie scale contracts will be able to negotiate for a longer deal, 5 years, which is going to be very important. Teams can now do extend and trade transactions that are richer and longer. Veterans can now receive a first-year salary in the extension with a 40% raise, twice as much as the 20% max contained in the current CBA. And there's been some significant revamps in the extension rules, such as rookies, veterans, stars, and traded players will have more flexibility if they're content to stay with their own team. So basically trying to reshape a lot of ways in which player empowerment is viewed upon, but also how player movement occurs. And we want to give teams more flexibility because when you draft well, you should be rewarded for drafting well, and you shouldn't be punished for it. I think oftentimes a lot of teams have been punished for making the right decisions in the draft where it's hard to build from within. And I think there's a lot of misconception that we're like targeting teams that are spending, not targeting teams that aren't spending. And I think systematically, a lot of that stuff just isn't true. We've added several disincentives for teams who live below the salary cap. So teams will not be able to stay under the minimum salary cap, i.e. Oklahoma City, where they had to pay out players. So we're looking at ways to collectively empower our game while creating a more stable, competitive balance, if you will. And I think that's what the NBA historically has talked about is competitive balance. Like they want the seasons to look like it looks right now, right? Where you got all these teams competing for a few spots. Every game matters. Everybody's playing in every game, i.e. Mikal Bridges, right? And we want to make sure that teams that do have a chance or a window, i.e. Boston Celtics, where they have a chance to maybe spend more money, make a championship caliber run, we want them to be able to and not get taxed as much. So we've reduced the tax dollar for dollar. We've done it in ways in which if you want to go into the cap and spend, you can, and you won't be penalized as much for it. So I think looking at what's going to come out in days or weeks to come, we did the best that we could. This is something that we negotiated for an extremely long time. And one of the things Tamika has always talked about is growing the pie, right? Like she's really, really big on figuring out ways to grow the pie, add a player's piece to the pie, right? And then create a path toward owning a piece of the pie. And I think we've done all of those things that we've targeted, and you'll see leaks of ways in which we have a more vibrant free agency, ways in which we have benefit packages, more jobs, maximize our group licensing rights. We've added more money to the pot. We've given players a chance to potentially partake in equity through private equity funds. Like we're doing stuff that's never been done before in the history of collective bargaining in all sports, right? So for people to frown upon that without getting the information is baffling. At least get all the information first, and then frown upon it or make your own opinions and judgments, which is completely fine. But I mean, we're bringing in an extra $160 million in the BRI, right? So that's $80 million towards player shares. We're doing a lot of stuff that honestly hasn't been done before. And we're making it so that players can invest alongside owners or governors or whatever you want to call them.
It's a different version of player empowerment. It's setting yourself up, right? As opposed to just setting up which team you play for.
We talk about the importance of creating generational wealth. We talk about the importance of having business opportunities, economic opportunities, making sure our players are well equipped, well knowledge to invest properly, to educate themselves and their families. And we're doing those things while creating more player movement and freedom. It's like, well, I don't know what else you would expect to get in a negotiation, which they're fighting for certain things that they want to have to make the game better. We're fighting for certain things we want to have to make the game better. And ultimately, there's a happy medium that you have to find. But I'll say all this to say that I'm the face of the players and the liaison, if you will, and the guy who's trying to make the game better for 450 people who have 450 different opinions, 450 different agendas. I play for the New Orleans Pelicans, right? I got guys on the executive committee who play for the Boston Celtics. Their team's in an entirely different situation than ours. And then you got owners and governors whose teams are in entirely different situations and they have their own agendas. So this is a tough job for anyone. And it's not like the CBA is made exactly how I want it to be made. It's like, this is exactly what CJ wanted, and they just do exactly what I say, and then it's over. It's like it doesn't work like that. It's a negotiation where there's a happy medium you try to find, but ultimately both parties enjoy the negotiation aspect of it, but more so than that, we enjoy when it's over, and we're getting close to that point.
Last thing I wanted to ask you guys.
Appreciate you, CJ. Appreciate you, man.
No problem at all.
I don't know how he does that. Like, spends all that time doing that and still, scouts the Clippers. It's crazy. That Hall of Fame class, Dwyane Wade, Dirk, Pop, Pow. Like, I know I don't normally talk Hall of Fame. It's just a bunch of people telling their memories about stuff. But like this seems like a loaded, like absolutely loaded class. I don't know if any of it sort of resonates with you guys in particular. But me watching Dwyane Wade, who I've covered since he was a rookie, it's just kind of not only makes me feel old, but kind of one of those like this is a different Hall of Fame class than any other ones. But anything about it stand out to you guys?
For me, it's D Wade. My brother's favorite player growing up was Carmelo Anthony and D Wade. So like they called him D Wade with braids when he was in high school. He was number 3. He dunked a lot. He was a slashing guard. So like to see, a guy who, has influenced me in terms of getting into the wine business and helping me and obviously signing with Li Ning, to see his dream come true and to see the work that he put in, right? Going to Marquette, being a prop 48 at Marquette, where he has to sit out a year to kind of work on his education and his grades, to going to South Beach and leading him to a title is just insane. And then winning multiple titles, and what he's been able to do in the business world in terms of gaining ownership and stuff like that, it's just really cool to see. And then obviously Pop and the rest of the guys, it's been really cool. I think Tony Parker's going in.
Mm-hmm.
I played against TP, and I guarded TP in the playoffs, which wasn't fun. They ended up winning the finals that year. But just to see his development and his impact on the game has been really fun for me in my development from 2013 draft to 2023. Like, seeing how the game has changed and how European players have impacted it is just really cool.
Yeah, they're all legends. They're all legends to me. I've been watching them since I was a kid. So that's just dope for them. And I know their families and stuff is happy, but I mean, they legends, man. Like watching D Wade, and then when Brian got there, like that whole show over there was ridiculous. And like Dirk, just nobody be able to guard Dirk. It's just wild. This is how he works mid post, and once he gets that 3 going, like you really have no chance. Because if you guard him and you're too close, like he got that little one step on you, like you're dead in the water, because he's 7 feet and he's big and he's just going to finish around you or even hit like a tough fade over you. So that's just dope for them.
It's crazy going back and watching some of the clips about how people talk about Dirk, like Kobe, all these guys. They have such an admiration, and it just sounded just like that. It's like, I don't know how, but it's amazing how he does it.
Can't block that. That shot all the way up here, man. Fade, you can't get to that. Nobody. You don't see nobody. You don't see nobody in front of him.
Like Caitlin Clark. I'm good here, CJ. I don't know about you.
No, I'm good, man. I was just reading through my CBA notes and I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't say these things until it becomes public.
Well, you can't reject your own request for an interview on your own show, can you?
You want me to listen to things for you, man, on the way out?
I mean, yeah, you know.
Okay.
And then you can call audience on Wednesday night and be like, don't put that in if it's a big deal.
Okay. In regards to salary cap, teams will be forced to spend into the market, increasing options and leverage for free agents. For teams who spend up to the salary cap, we offer more opportunities with the richer and longer room exception. For teams over the salary cap, we increased our mid-level exception. We also added a new exception for second-round picks, which not only will help those players, but will also preserve the full mid-level amount for veteran players. We made it easier for these teams to make trades, expanding the trade exception, and for the first time allowing teams to make trades into the exceptions. This allows players to get to teams that will re-sign them using the bird and early bird exceptions, both of which remain untouched in this agreement.
That's for teams that don't hit the salary cap?
It says for teams over the salary cap.
Over.
Allegedly. Obviously, we'll have to finalize the terms. This is me reading this verbatim because the term sheet hasn't been sent in yet. Oh, here we go. In addition, for the first time since they were put in place in 2011, the tax brackets will grow annually at the same rate as our revenue increases, up from the current $5 million amount. This will lighten the burden on tax spending teams at the low end of the luxury tax. Basically, for the first time ever, it'll grow with the cap, which it hasn't done before, which will be nice. Like to be able to see things grow with the actual money, I think is important for our game and will make things better. But there's some stuff in it that people may or may not like, which is normal. And you can't please everybody in this world. It's impossible.
Oh, this just reminded me that I've got 12 days to do my taxes, and I have not done so yet.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, Mikal, I appreciate you coming on the pod, brother. I know you got to get treatment. I got to go to practice. We're still in the playing game, so we got some work to do. We don't have the luxury of being able to not look at the standings. Like these games that used to not matter actually matter now for a lot of teams. And now you like when the Blazers beat Minnesota and they're a 19.5-point underdog, you're like, wow, that was a really good win. So that's where we're at with society. But I appreciate you coming on. Let me know how many restaurants you've hit up on that list I sent you over to in New York.
Bro. I've been when the season's over, I got you. I've really been just lacking and been inside and been happy.
That's what you're supposed to do. You keep getting 27 a night on 50, 40, 90. You don't have to go out to eat at all.
Bro, I appreciate you, fam.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, brother.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
All right, y'all.